All right, everybody, welcome again to another Mindset Mastermind, our daily dose of motivation, inspiration, information to get ready for a day of perspiration. And my stack of books here. This is what we're working on now, ninja selling. So, first thing I want to do today, we're a week in. I want to hear from a couple of people. What are you taking away so far? What's the last week of diving into this content been for you? Two people. Let's go.
It's teaching me discipline reminder that I've got a constant awareness 24/7 now that I have something to do 5 days a week. It's super important and I got to make sure I make those. And then there's an additional part too that I'm adding to those already disciplines. Like in my mind, I knew I had to get here early this morning so that I could get my gratitude and get that stuff down before I got started. And that's been like an extreme awareness all weekend long that there's a new system, there's a new process, there's a new routine, there's a new ritual that needs to be followed. And it's I don't know, it's something in your stomach. It's like a feeling like if it doesn't get done, like you didn't do your job that day. It's I don't know, it's a weird feeling, but that's what I've been getting.
I think you might have missed one more new that is happening for you and for everybody else. And that would be a new you. All of you are evolving through this process and showing up differently. And I promise you, you stay in it, magic happens. I had a huge aha last night on presence, proving to me that that affirmation of I am present is kicking in. So I need one more from somebody else in the room before we jump into today's content. One more.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Alexander. Thank you.
Yay. Okay, good. Good. Good morning. For me, it's mindset, shifting mindset. Like for the example, I want to get out of debt. It's like, oh wait, no, now I'm focusing on the debt. I'm focusing on the wrong thing. Reprogram your brain to focus on what you actually want, and you'll see better results. So I'm super excited to really implement that and see how it changes my life.
And you're excited about being financially free, aren't you?
I'm excited.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. It's an awesome thing. So, guys, today's content, chapter 12, page 50 through chapter 15, page 65. And as always, it's your guys' room. I look at the raised hands. Should you do that? I also look at the open mics. Should you do that? And I'll admit some more folks in the room. They're coming. And Rhonda, your mic's hot, and I know you're always good for great comments. So, what do you got, my dear?
I'm so sorry. This whole new thing, it's like it doesn't pop up on my phone whether my mic's hot or not unless I look for it. Um, I did not do any reading over the weekend. We were so busy prepping for this winter weather that us Southerners are not used to. So,
So, think about this for your nugget today. And I
okay.
want you to really internalize this. The willingness to be vulnerable and authentic, even when you've fallen short. That's a huge gift, Rhonda. And just make sure you lean into the ring going forward. I'm looking at
Oh,
the 80-20 rule, guys. We talked about Pareto's principle earlier in the book, and I'm holding you guys to the same standard. Rhonda almost always reads the material. Once in a great while, something's going to get in the way, and that's okay. So
it
let's
is, but
use
I have to tell you though that this book really has shifted my mindset. I'm so excited.
excellent.
Nefrita and I were talking the other day, and it's we're going to be sending each other positive affirmations every day. You know,
Perfect. I love that
this
you
is
have an
mind
accountability
humor.
buddy. Let me jump to somebody else, Rhonda, on the
Okay.
content. Joshua, what do you got, brother? Joshua going once, Joshua going twice. All right, Doug, I see you are here, and Jeanette's probably hiding as you somewhere else. What do you got, Doug?
Well, I really, I'm not real sure which chapters we're on, but chapter 10, proper programming. Um, the way you use your words, it's not only that the words that you speak, but it's also the way that you use them. And he was really, really clear and very, very specific in this. Um, I know that one of the goals that I've had for years, and I continue to state it, even though um, we've we've worked it and we've taught it, um, is not the right way to say it. I keep saying debt free, debt free, debt free. That's not the way we want to say it. We want to say it the way Russ says it, which is correct, which is financially free. So uh, these small tweaks, I believe, are going to make a huge difference in our outcomes. The more we're present and really grasping on to how our brain works and using it the way it's designed to be used, is going to help us in the long run. So very inspiring there. There was
And
a lot
probably the
more in here
most,
that was inspiring, but that was a big one for me.
probably the most important nugget in that too, Doug, that I want to make sure we anchor in the room. Your success is linked to little things every day. We tend to focus on, I need to make a big change. I need to do this monster thing. I need to have a day where I have 100 conversations like we used to do in previous spaces. And yet the little stuff every day is what adds up and exponentially explodes your life. So thank you for
Right.
that, Doug. April, your hands up. I'm coming to you.
All right. So the principle two, when he starts talking about stop selling, start solving, and also the pursuer, distance or dance, that really spoke out to me because a lot of people tend to, and myself included, when you're like having a conversation with people, you're just kind of in the whole I'm here to sell you, but it has to be more so of they have issues that you have to solve, and that's why they came to you in the first place, so that they want that conversation because you're the expert, you're the person that can help to solve their issues that they're having. So creating that value that attracts people is really like the most important thing when it comes to building relationships and building your business. So in my opinion.
So here's the shift I'd love for all of you to make on that, April, because I get that. I'm here to sell you. I'm here to get a commission check, which I know that's in there for a lot of people, especially if you're in a place of lack right now. And yet I want you to shift that from I'm here to sell you to I'm here to serve you. I'm here to solve you. Either one of those. You're solving a problem for them, you're serving them, and let go of the end result of cash. If you lean on solving problems and serving people, no matter what, the revenue will show up. Have the faith in that. It works. And I'm excited, April, that you are going there. Jeffrey, you're up.
Good morning. Yeah, so on that same note, that's kind of what I noted as well. The first step in ninja selling is to attract people rather than to pursue them. When I got into real estate about 5 years ago, I was on the edge. Should I do it? Because people are saying, oh, you'd be good at it. I have families that were successful in it. But my biggest thing is I don't want to be that guy, that salesy guy, that pushy guy that's, always looking out to get a deal. I have a long history in hospitality where it was all about creating experiences and really taking care of people. So I try to bring that into my business. And there are times where, right, I'm cold calling or FSBOs. The first thing that they're doing is trying to negotiate my commission before we even had a conversation. But what I really like to do is try to get face to face with them in some sort, bring them value, show them what working with a professional really has to offer them, and then take it from there. And I've actually been able to get some FSBOs just by calling them and listing their houses and then seeing the results. And they were actually grateful for going with the professional rather than on their own. So if you're being true and like I say, guiding them through it, I think they'll eventually see the value. But it is hard when you're trying to get that commission. You have bills to pay. They do take a little bit longer to kind of nurture. But if you're constantly showing them value, then they do start to build that trust with you.
And I love how you hit both those chapters a little bit. And there's one thing that I want to speak into the room now that historically in this room, we've been very good at, and we are going to make sure we do it again going forward in 2025. You said, and I quote, I try to bring that, and you were talking about the hospitality. I try to bring that into my business. Try is a weasel word. If I looked you all in the eyes today and said, you know what? I'm going to try to be on time tomorrow. How many of you would think that I was showing up on time? No, I'm going to try to return your phone call. It's a weasel word. It allows our subconscious to not do it, and it allows your subconscious to be in a place of it's unimportant. So we eliminate that word. Most of the time, it can just be totally eliminated. You don't try to bring that in, you bring it in, right? You absolutely, Jeffrey, bring that hospitality experience and energy into every client you serve.
That's right.
And so one of the things we do in here, and I allow it, is what's called a pattern interrupt, where you truly interrupt them. I'd love for all of us to say there is no try in our best Yoda voice yet. I don't have a great one. I don't know if you do. It's a word we need to totally eliminate for our language. If you really are meaning an attempt, we use the word intend, intention. I intend to bring that in. So I'll let you put intend in its place because it requires mental gymnastics to get to that word, or just eliminate it. I hope it makes sense to all of you. And Jeffrey, here's the fun part. You're saying try because your belief is here. I'm eliminating the word when I talk about you because I know the reality is here.
No, I appreciate that, because
serving people.
You had a good one a couple of years ago on one of the calls where I said, I have to pick my kids up at 3:00 from school. And you said, you don't have to, you get to, you enjoy it. It's not, you have to stop and go get your kids. It's the best part of my day is getting my kids. So yes, I bring my hospitality background into my business.
Every freaking time, brother. Try's gone. I love that have to when it relates to things that matter.
Words matter.
You don't have to do anything. It's all a choice, isn't it?
Yeah.
And some of us in that conversation with Jeffrey don't get to do that anymore. So it's a limited time when you have them. Enjoy it. All right. Carrie, my dear, what do you got? I see your mic's hot.
I wanted to just kind of go about where on page 50, where it says mental push-ups, just 7 minutes a day. It also says, oh, why can't I just write them once? And the author's response is, how strong will you get if you only do one push-up every once in a while? And just to add to that, I'd like to say that, in order to make the new habit, right, it has to be all the time. And after it usually doesn't take too long to be consistent about it daily for it to all of a sudden become just natural. I know it's really the hardest thing to do, but it works.
Excellent. And I love that you're bringing in is that focus. I love chapter 12, and you guys kind of haven't talked about it yet, on this power of focus and the net forward energy ratio. It's one of my favorite examples. My son actually today is starting actual jet training for a Delta subsidiary. Today's first day of class up in Minneapolis. And they use the net forward thrust ratio, playing all in. How many of you have had a day that you really you woke up and you didn't want to give it all, or something happened midday?
Chapter 12, Chapter 13, Cliff Notes, Ninja Selling.
I'll mute that real quick. Imagine for a moment you were sitting on an airliner. He's at the end of the runway, and pilot goes, "Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your pilot, John Smith. It's been a rough morning. My wife and I had a big fight. My kids didn't get up on time, and they were crabby. And man, when I got into office, the boss was yelling at me. So I'm going to give it 50% throttle, and let's see what happens." And yet that's what you guys are doing a lot of times to your life. And I challenge you, no matter what, on this chapter 12, give it 100% every day. When you are on, especially your lead gen, the top of the funnel, you play all in even when you don't want to. When the hour's up, you do one more. If you've given your a window of time, I'm going to do it till 5 p.m. 5 p.m. hits, commit yourself to one more. And watch what happens to the level of your success. Mark Adams, I see you're up.
So 2 things, Coach. One of the things I noticed is like when I pick to read my book, it has to be very specific to really consume the information. And like I noticed when I'm on my way to the workout, I'm a little more fuzzy, but on the way home after I've already worked out, oh my gosh, the information just really sticks with me. It's amazing. And the reason why I bring that up is because I read this chapter 3 times now on the three brains, the conscious, non-conscious, and the creative non-conscious. And it still didn't register until I was in church yesterday and I heard the pastor talking about your non-conscious mind. And I remember in the chapter it said that your non-conscious does not have any humor. So when you say silly things like I'm old or, I'm getting old or my body's old, your brain does not think that's a joke and it takes it serious. And my pastor was talking about this yesterday and I said, oh my gosh, these little silly things that I'm saying that I think are nuanced are really detrimental to my mindset. I got to really knock those out. Not only that, I need to also inform my wife of these as well because she uses some of the same negative language that I'm using, and it didn't register. I mean, I've read this chapter 3 freaking times. It's just weird how, like, my subconscious heard it, or my non-conscious heard it, but it wasn't until the 4th time that I heard that information that it registered. Oh my gosh, I got to do something about it, which to me goes back to I have to read this stuff over and over and over and over again. It's not a one and done deal.
Amen. Amen. We got to stay on it. And that's why being in this room, because you guys will notice that the content that we bring in all kind of interlinks. Stuff that we're reading in here has been in other books that we've read earlier in 2024. And the same thing's going to happen going forward, that all these messages have an intertwining that looks at them from different directions, yet still come down to these foundational truths of who you should be to maximize your success, and then ultimately what you should do. Sharon, the room is yours.
Me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, good morning. Sorry, it disconnected for a few minutes. Yeah, based on all of this, I'm going back to chapter 9. There are 3 things that create your future: the people you meet, the places you go, and the books you read. And we were in this synergy a few minutes ago, and it really struck a chord with me. We had a very few people come over for business planning, just kind of check in accountability on our team this weekend. And one of the things that I realized is that some of them weren't necessarily consistent with the mastermind because it was a book club. And I've heard so many times, I read that book, or we've already done that book, or, I have other things, and, I have other things as well. But I believe one of the things that really was a mindset shift was that even if you haven't read those pages, hearing and masterminding with other like-minded people that are growth-minded transforms our thought process, and what transforms in our brain transforms what comes out of our mouth, and that transforms what we believe about ourselves, our situations, our ability, and where we can go. So I felt like it was just so groundbreaking, after this period of time to just go, wow, yeah, this is something that isn't just a little book club. This is transformational personally, and then for our entire team.
Yeah, I get personally offended when people use the term book club for this room. It like chaps my hide, because that is not what we are doing here, guys. We are truly, as Shara says, masterminding. We are sharing, we are giving different perspectives on the content. Sometimes, and Carrie, I love you for this because you're one of those that when you struggle with the content, you actually bring it into the room and we have a conversation about it. And that is an amazing authenticity and vulnerability that I'm working with everybody in this room to get you there, because that's where the magical growth happens. You move so quick when you fall into that spot. Miss Jeanette, you even changed your name from Doug. What do you have today?
Well, not a bad name. It's just not mine. It's a great name. I get to share it. So, all of this, it just amazes me. We've got 12 chapters. 12 is a number for government, actually. 12 chapters to get our mindset to be the leader in our own business, in our own mindset, in our own way of doing things. And with the books, like Shara said, on that same page, on page 42, it then goes into saying your habits. And Doug and I were talking about this yesterday. People do not decide their futures. We can set goals. We can set goals all we want. But it's also like Coach Russ has said, people do not decide their futures. They decide their habits. Their habits decide the futures. So another great book with this, whether we go through it in the book club or not, Add Atomic Habits and how to build habits to that. And I'm rebuilding my habits, but it's my affirmation I'm adding in today. I'm working on the words for it, but I build the right habits the right way. That's so far what I've got. So
by the way, that's a great affirmation.
It
I
is.
build the right habits the right way. Clear, concise. I simplify my thinking. That's another great one, isn't it, Jeanette?
Sure.
Just
I'll work on
throwing that one out there. All right.
Can you say it again? I build the right habits. What?
The right way.
I enjoy building
habits
right
the right way.
And I'd even say taking in the enjoy. I enjoy building my right habits the right way.
We can add enjoy, and yet I build the right habits the right way. Love that. And I simplify my thinking. Many of you, the reason I threw that out there, Jeanette and I, we coach every single Monday. She's one of, my coaching world, and this simplification is key. And instead of talking of, as we hear so many times, I overanalyze, I overthink things. We're looking for what we really want, which is that simplification. And so we'll go there. By the way, Caesar, I'm coming to you, but there's one thing I want to notice first. In seeing you in the room with the way the light's hitting behind you on the left side, I can tell what you're going to look like with gray sideburns. It's awesome. You got one gray sideburn kicking in there. Can you see the old Caesar a little bit? What do you got, brother?
You could see him already without the sunlight. So the sunlight is not eating. I want to bring in about chapter 14 regarding creating value. So number one, it says anything that solves their problem. So that's what creates value. I also wanted to tag with that and also minimizes risk. Because when people feel like that's valuable, they also want to minimize the risk and make sure that the house gets sold. So I wanted to add that line to that. But then number two, and I want to tie this into with Jeffrey was referring to earlier about hospitality, and it tied in with the book that we haven't read that might be on in our list, or not, the Unreasonable Hospitality. Number two is anything that makes them feel good. That's really creating value. And a lot of the times I don't think that is in on top of our mind. We're always like, oh, we make sure to sell our house for the most money or whatever. But there's also that secondary thing that makes them feel good, that brings them pleasure. So what's the saying? People will remember how you made them feel, not what you said, or something along those lines. So I just wanted to bring those 2 points because I feel that, yes, we solve problems and that should be on the top of our mind, but also make them feel good about how, by the messages, by the gift, these little things that we do to separate ourselves of how they've gone through the experience, because the selling and the thing could get repetitive, but that little handwritten note that you send, the gift, something that they said, oh, I really like this painting from so-and-so, and like you get at the closing table, they'll remember that forever more than like the extra grand that you got them at the closing table. I just wanted to bring those 2 nuggets to the group.
Well, Unreasonable Hospitality is on the 2025 reading list. At the end of this, I want to talk to you guys about a couple of things and see if maybe I can build a system to help you guys even better. So that being said, we have 2 more minutes on this content. So who else has something to share from today's content? Nafritha, bring us home, girl.
So
a lot of great nuggets in this book, and I really love it. And I'll be very quick, right? So I kind of tied in some things, which it kind of always connects the dots in my brain. But the main thing that jumped out at me was page 69, where he tells you the ninja selling so far, basically the steps: stop selling, start attracting. How do I attract? By creating value. How do I create value? By solving a problem. How do I discover the pain and pleasure? By asking the right questions, the Ford questions, and then offer a solution to their pain and pleasure. Stop selling and start solving. So from that, I wrote sharpen focus, because when someone gets in the state of focus, we don't know what might happen. We sometimes call it miracles. So that if I sharpen my focus so that I am attracting the 80%, I thought it was so profound. It says most people, 80%, make their buying decisions based on value, right? We need to stop chasing the 5% that's only looking at the amount to make the decision. But I said, if I focus on the 80% that wants the value, I can definitely attract who I need to be around, those ideal clients, and focus on solving their problem. So that's the 80% that makes the decision based on value, by asking the right questions, which will help me identify their problem and provide a solution that will enhance their quality of life. We are enhancing the quality of life of everybody that we touch, everybody that we speak to, every client that we help. And we're doing that because we're solving a problem. And if we're focusing on their problem and not on the money, right, on the commission, then the value that we're bringing is extraordinary and unforgettable. So I did that by even asking myself, how do I rewrite the question? You know, often you see a person and you ask them, do you know someone that's looking to buy or sell? I rephrase that. Do you know anyone that is looking to relocate to Gwinnett County in the next 6 months? Therefore, I'm not focused on the buying or selling. I'm looking to find someone that is relocating and has a pain point or a challenge in doing so that I can provide that value and make that connection.
Awesome. Thank you, Nafree.